Good morning. Welcome back to Country Wife Mommy Life. My name is Charity if you're new here, and we are going down to my basement this morning because we have something exciting happening today. For the past 4 or 5 years, we have actually been getting our ground beef in bulk. A few years ago, we were actually gifted half of a beef cow, beef, steer, whatever you want to call it. We were gifted half of one, and we really enjoyed the meat. It was very high quality, and it was just nice to have all of that in the freezer. So last year we took part of our tax return and we actually purchased a whole beef, so a completely full-size beef. I want to say it was around 700 pounds of meat. That included steaks and roasts and soup bones and bones, ground beef, obviously. Well, let's see what else was in it. I got the heart, I got the liver, I got the tongue, some random cuts of meat that you don't really, some special cuts of meat that you don't really hear a whole lot about. But I wanted to show you what we have left in our freezer, because this morning we're going to go pick up our beef that is now ready, and I'm gonna take you along with us. So this is my freezer. I'm honestly not sure how big it is. I want to say it's maybe a 16 cubic foot freezer. But anyway, we're going to open it up. I'm going to kind of show you what we have left from last year's beef. So there's just a bunch of random stuff in here, and it does need to be organized, so I didn't actually do anything to it. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the beef soup bones left. So we've got some soup bones left. We've got 1, 2, we've got 3 logs of ground beef. Each one is actually 2 pounds, so we have 6 pounds of that left. There's nothing in here, and I don't think there's anything back here. No, I actually only have 2 turkeys there, and I'm pretty sure everything is gone from oh, I do have something down there. So let's take that out and see. So that's actually 3 little packages of liver. I had gotten some extra liver last year because I was pregnant, and I was doing my best to boost my iron levels because I was dealing with some extreme exhaustion, and that's a whole nother subject. But that's what we've got left. So we've got 3 little beef livers, 6 soup bones, and 6 pounds of ground beef left. So now we're gonna get the kids loaded up into the car, and we're gonna head off to the locker to go get our beef. So here is the back end of my 15-passenger van. It is completely full of our beef. So we're gonna take this inside, kind of separate it out, and I'll show you the final product here. All right, here's a really quick overview of just the cuts of meat. I've already put the hamburger in the freezer, and I'll show that to you here in a minute. But I had no room to put all 220 pounds of ground beef out here on my floor. It was just rolling everywhere. So I've sorted all the cuts of meat, and I'll zoom in and I'll show you each cut. But here's kind of the overview of everything on my kitchen floor. Okay, so I'm going to start here on the left. These are all soup bones. So I got a ton of soup bones. We use these for different, different soups, different things that just need a little bit of meat. And then I use the bones to make bone broth. Same thing with the beef back ribs. These are actually very fatty. But what I do is we just take off the meat, and then again, we'll use the bones to make bone broth. So we got 4 of those. These are all beef bones. These are all to make bone broth for soup. Quiet down, guys, quiet down. So that's that. Moving on, we've got beef stew meat. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 packages of beef stew meat. All of this right here is New York strip steak. This back here, starting here, they go, well, that one's 4, but I think most of them are 3 deep. This is the ribeye steak. So good. It's got some good fat on it, and I'll trim that off and put that with the other fat that I'll show you here in a minute. Oh my goodness. Okay, this entire row is beef chuck roast, and they're 2 deep. So we've got 2, 4, 6, 8 of those. Moving on over here, this is arm roast. So we've got 2 arm roasts. These are rump roasts, so I've got 2 of those. And then way over here, if I can reach it, is 2 beef sirloin tip roasts. They're pretty decent size. And then we've got the beef tongue. We've got the beef hearts. We've got our organ meats. Speaking of organ meats, this whole pile is beef liver. And then over here we have the beef tenderloin. This stuff is amazing, especially if you wrap a piece of bacon around it. Oh, so good. And then moving on down here, we got a whole pile. I don't even know how many there are. I didn't even count them, of beef sirloin steak. And this over here, this smaller pile, is the New York strip steak. Oh, and I probably should have mentioned, there are 2 steaks in each package. I'm pretty sure I asked them to be packed 4 steaks to a package, but it's fine. It's not a big deal. Just a little bit more packaging, but that's okay this time around. I'll make sure we get 4 next time. But so there's 2 steaks in each. For the steaks, all of them are 2 to a package. So that's pretty cool. And then over here, I asked for the fat. So these are 2 bags. They're frozen solid. All this meat came frozen solid. This is the fat of the animal. And then when I make these steaks, for example, here's a good example. They'll have fat along the edges. So what I'll actually do is I'll trim the fat off, and then I'll put it in the freezer. And then when I get a bag big enough, we will do a beef fat melting session, and we'll make some tallow to use in various things. This will be my first time doing it. I've seen it done a ton of times. So you can see different fats on different cuts of meats here. And every time I make these, I will trim that and add that to the bag in the freezer. So yeah, again, this is our overview of our beef for 2024. So here's what our freezer looks like after we have the entire 700 pounds of beef in the freezer. I have my numbers upstairs, but we have, I want to say, about 220-ish pounds of ground beef, and then the rest of it is steaks and roasts and organ meat and all kinds of stuff. So I put all my beef stew meat over here. All of the ground beef is under here. It's also underneath here. So there's stew meat here and the sirloin steak, and all of my bones are back here. Got a bunch of beef tenderloin and the New York strip, and just obviously it all doesn't fit in one section. So yeah, all of the roasts are underneath here. We got a lot of the ribeye steak here. I will probably try to organize it a little bit better. But the day I put this in here, this is actually a different day, but the day I put this in here, my kids had PE, so I was rushing to get it filmed and in the freezer so that we could leave. So we mostly organized it because it is set up from last year on how we organized it, but it does need, I might get a couple boxes and try to put some of the boxes in so I have easier access to the roasts. But usually I try to work through the bones pretty quickly. I will jar those up and we'll put them on the shelves over here. But yeah, that's what a 700 pounds looks like in a big old deep freezer. For those of you who are interested, I thought I would do a price breakdown of the beef that we got. I think it was right around 700 pounds again. But I wanted to do a price breakdown of all the cuts of meat that we got and how it is saving my family of 10 a ton of money by buying it in bulk once a year versus just buying the cuts of meat at the grocery store. So just at a glance, we got 700 pounds of actual meat. This does not include the bones. This does not include the fat that I got. It's just simply 700 pounds of meat. So all the roasts and the steak cuts and the ground beef, the organ meat equaled 700 pounds. The rate was $4.05 per pound for everything. and that equaled a grand total of $2,835. And like I said, we take a chunk of our tax return and we're able to pay for that every single year. So I simply wrote out Walmart's prices and Sam's Club prices because that's where I generally shop. I did not write out Aldi prices, but I'm assuming that they would be similar. At least they're similar to Walmart in my area here in Illinois. So at Walmart, the 73.27, that's a fat percentage in your ground beef, is actually cheaper than the $4.05 rate. And I'll explain why I chose to go with that in a moment. But it's $3.32 for a 5-pound, for a 5-pound roll, it's $3.32 per pound, and this is the cheapest way to get it. At Sam's Club, they did not have an equal to that. But for the 80-20% fat, it ended up being $3.99 per pound for a 5-pound roll at Walmart. And then at Sam's Club, it was $3.88 per pound, and I believe they sell it in a 10-pound log. So it is actually cheaper to get it at Sam's Club. However, that's for an 80-20. The meat that we get is extremely lean. It has a lot of water in it because it's only been frozen once, and there's some other factors that go into that. I'm not going to get into all the deepness of ground beef in this video. I'm just going to do a price comparison. Anyway, ours is very high quality meat. It's very, very lean. It's very, very high quality. There's not a lot of fat in it when you completely cook it. So for the 93.7% fat, I could not find a log at Walmart, but the 2.25 pound tray equaled $6.32 per pound. And at Sam's Club, it was $3.98 for a 10-pound log. So right on par, basically, it's pennies difference from what I paid. Now, we got New York strip steak. At Walmart, it was $12.40 per pound. I paid $4.05 per pound. Sirloin steak, typically some of your cheaper steaks that you can buy were $10.44 per pound, again, at Walmart. I paid $4.05. Beef tenderloin, $22.82 a pound. Ribeye steak, $14.97 per pound. So for me and my family, I do this because I want my children to have a wide variety of things to eat. Oh, and I didn't even include liver and organ meats in here. That just, I didn't even bother. But for my family, I want us to be eating good quality meat. I want us to be able to eat a wide variety of meat instead of just getting hamburger. So that is why for us, I choose to take a chunk of my tax return and I will pay $4.05 per pound for everything here so that we can have good quality meat for our family. Just some more random numbers for those of you who really enjoy this. So taking this amount and dividing it out for 12 months equals $236.25 per month. That's just for, this type of meat that I can use in meals for the month. And that works out to be $23.63 per person per month. Now, I did divide this by 10. Obviously, my baby's not eating that much meat, but my oldest son is now 13, and he has begun to eat a little bit more, so he more than makes up for the baby's portion. So I'd be curious to know what meat prices are like in your area. Like I said, we live in Northwest Illinois, and these are pretty standard prices for us across the board. So yeah, they might be a little higher in your area. They might be a little lower in your area, depending upon where you're at. If you like this kind of content, think about giving me a like and subscribe if you feel like doing that. And I will see you in the next video. Bye, friends.